And we in like Flynn. And we in like Flynn. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. And we live. Just like that. In the screen. Yeah. Third eye blast. Mm-hmm. Everything sounding pretty good. Let's see what's happening. Let's see what's happening. And the people know what's going down. We live. Sekond Sun, walk with me. We third eye blasting today, as you can see from the name of the title. We third eye blasting. We exposing that third eye. We defining the third eye. What is the third eye? We're going to get that in. On the rising, on the day. Virgo season. Letting everybody, you know what I'm saying, know what's going on. Third eye blast. Let's do it. You feel me? Let's delve into it. Think and grow rich. You understand? Think and grow rich. Let's do it. On this rising. On this rising. Let's do it then. Okay. Okay. Let's get into it. Yeah. Welcome to the Walk With Me Live. I am your good brother, Sekond Sun. That's second with a K, S-U-N. Because I am Carolyn's Sekond Sun. Again, this is the Walk With Me Live session. As we can see, I'm solo dolo. I'll be catching up with the good brother later on today. As you can see, right there, my good brother Lane. But today, as you can see, the title of this session is Third Eye Exposed. We're going to define the third eye. That's what we're doing today. Because it's very important. It's imperative that we know thyself. And this third eye is a part of ourselves. We got to know that. And we got to be able to define it to the T so we can use it to our righteous advantage. Because this is definitely imperative that, again, man, know thyself. And to thine own self be true. You see? Mark Twain said, I don't let my schooling interfere with my education. Ooh, think about that one. He said, I don't let my schooling interfere with my education. That's important. You see, because when he say schooling, of course, we know that he's speaking about this independent school district concept. Of course, this independent school concept of getting children in line to think a certain way. That's what he means by I don't let my schooling interfere with my education. That's important. We're going to delve on down through it today on this session of Walk With Me Live. We live on YouTube. You see? And again, we'll be catching up with the good brother later on sometime today. But we just had to get this lesson right here off our chest. This third eye blast, this third eye lesson been, you see, boiling over inside. It's time to get it out. And we're going to get it out today. Because again, our schooling, as Mark Twain said, our schooling we can allow it. One can allow our schooling to interfere with our education when that shouldn't be the case. But of course, we're talking about, culture and nationality, what nationality is, because nationality is culture. So again, we got to know who we are so we can be able to delve into life in a righteous way versus a devilish way. Because your education can be interfered with this schooling, this concept of an independent school district that has a certain curriculum, you see, that's set out to just benefit the corporation. This corporation we speaking of that was created in 1776. You see, and as we can see now, we've moved centuries now away from 1776. And what we got to know is that there's business in operation. And we got to know who we are so this business doesn't work against our righteousness. Because it's possible, very much possible, that this corporate way of training a child as it relates to the corporation, we're talking about the United States of America, the corporation that was created in 1776. You see, we got to know that there is definitely a plotted out plan inside of there to economically benefit off ignorance. And when we're talking about this concept of schooling, again, you have two concepts of schooling that we go through on this landmass. That's Sunday school and your independent school district. And it's very important for us to know that life on the earth plane is symbolic. We have to be able to, you see, we have to be able to define the symbols. Because when we say it's symbolic, we meaning that there are symbols all around us. All the way to your favorite restaurant. You see, from your favorite restaurant to your favorite football, basketball, baseball team, etc. Symbols. The company that you work for, etc. Or you see, your favorite brand of clothing, etc. It's symbols all around us, and we got to know what these symbols define organically. Because again, this corporate way of thinking, you see, is what's considered to be 3/5 of a person. Now, this 3/5 of a person can only think, as we can see, partially. You 3/5. You can't think holistically. And the way that starts, that whole process starts of you not being able to think holistically, starts in the womb. That's what we got to know. Whether you're able, you see, to be able to live life in a holistic fashion, not partial, 3/5. That whole process starts in the womb. And again, if you've been following us enough now, you know that we've been talking about the power of that body. You see? And those powers, of course, have laws that govern them. And all of that, teaching or lesson or vibration, it comes from the womb first. You see? That's what we got to know. Off the muscle. Mother. You see? Is where all of it starts. The lessons, the way of living, even the way that we perceive life, you know, the way we look at life, it starts in the womb. Now, again, we said that there was a corporation that we all, you see, in 2020, here on what we call the North American land plate. We all have, at this point, been exposed to the corporate curriculum. And when we say corporate curriculum, of course, we saying how you perceive life. And that curriculum comes through Sunday school and your independent school district, colleges, universities, etc. You see? And when we dealing with that and defining truthfully what we're getting as it relates to instruction on how to live, we can in 2020 definitely deal with the fact that it's something missing in the lesson. You see, as it relates to life, how to live it, you see, how to be whole, you see, from generation to generation, how to pass down generational wealth, how to even acquire it, or you see, gather it up. All that in 2020 we can see as it relates to the melanoids of this earth planet. It's a lesson, you see what I'm saying? And they're missing somewhere. And we have to look at this thing in truth. That's why we keep saying 1776, because it's important to go ahead and mark it right there when we're going into this lesson of the third eye. Because again, this is where the bulk of your life's GPS, the humanoid, you see? Every human being walking the face of the earth, like we say, as it relates to the North American land play, what we call U.S.A. You see? We know at this point that there has been some instructions left out. Why are we saying that? Because there's too much sickness and disease running rampant within our village. There's too many of us that have had to deal with loved ones that's being highly medicated, see, on a daily basis for all kind of health issues. We can name them, a few: high blood pressure, you see, anxiety, depression, obesity, you see. We can go on and on to where we know that it's somewhere in there the lesson has been, something been left out. Because in Sunday school, we learned that it's a certain way that you can live and be whole. We learned that in Sunday school, but that lesson somehow doesn't transfer over to the real world, as we can call it. That's obvious at this point. Why are we saying that, brother Sekond Sun? Because in 2020, I'm 44 now. I have enough hard evidence on how the results look as it relates to this Sunday school lesson that we get and the lesson that we get in the independent school district as well. Both. I'm able to assess it as a grown, thinking human being and see that there has been some lost translation somewhere. And then in most cases, just some lost lessons. Period. Like you didn't even get the lesson. Like the independent school district, for an example. As it relates to a third eye, you're not going to hear that type of language in your independent school district chambers, nor your Sunday school chambers. So yeah, we got to think about this here. Because when we go into the lesson, what we about to do, we about to delve into it. We'll see how, oh man, yeah, because we ain't got this format. We ain't got the lesson formatted in this fashion as it relates to a third eye, because just to speak on it quickly, that we'll delve into just in a minute, the third eye is the representation of Jesus. That's a fact. You see? And again, in these independent school district chambers and the Sunday school chambers, you're getting 3/5. You see, we've been getting 3/5 of a lesson, not the whole one. You see? And that's where the problem starts. Because an individual, a human being, is born to be whole. You see? To live a whole life, not a partial one. You see how this working? But again, that third eye has to be enlightened with the light, meaning it has to shine like a light. Because not only is that third eye a representation, you see, of Jesus, but that's the representation of the light of your body, of your temple. You see? Whether that third eye switch is clicked on or off is up to you. It's up to the neophyte, the individual, the human being. You see? Not the 3/5 of a person. You see? Those are two totally different concepts. Human being and 3/5 of a person. These two concepts are at war with one another. That's what we got to know. And again, the lessons, the keys to the degrees come from home, come from mother. You see? Because that third eye has a mother and a father. You see how this working? That third eye has a mother that has many names. But one name that we know of in the Sunday school curriculum that I was raised in would be Mary. Mary, the mother of Jesus. You see? And that would be the pituitary gland. See? That's placed inside of my brain. The father would be the pineal. That's Joseph. Not the Joseph, of course, you see, you know, with the brothers of many, had the coat of many colors. You know, that's later on in the Sunday school lesson. But we talking about Jesus, the Father. Jesus the Son. But we talking about Joseph, the father of Jesus. That's the pineal. You got your pineal, you see, your pituitary, father and mother, which birthed the child, the third eye, or that what is known as the optic thalamus, you see? Metaphysically, cosmically, you see, we have to define all of this so we can know what we're dealing with. Now, again, that third eye has the ability to light your whole body, the whole temple. But of course, just like a child, remember we just named the parents of the third eye. Now, of course, if you want to go anciently with these names, the pineal would be Asar. or Osiris. That would be the pineal, anciently, you see, Kemetically. And the pituitary will be Aset. You see? And we already know that the child will be Heru, i.e. Hercules. You see how that works? Heru, Hercules. That would be the third eye. Jesus, third eye. We had to get the lessons, though. Anciently, you see. You remember what they told us in Sunday school? Jesus, the same yesterday, today, forevermore. You see how that works? That means the law, as it relates to as above, so below. Universal law, divine law. It never changes. That's what that means. Meaning you need a masculine energy and a feminine energy together to make a child, to create a child. A child in human form, a child in what we call tangible form as it relates to a business. That business that was created by you or your loved one that you know of needed both masculine and feminine energy to fornicate, have sex. You see, in the spirit realm, of course, as it relates to your, as above, your thoughts. These thoughts had to marry. You see, and then here comes the child. That's how this working. That's all that means. Jesus, the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. That's what that means. That the law, it never changed. 1 + 1 will always be 2. 2 + 2 will always be 4, etc. Sacred geometry. It has to add up or it's a lie. You see, that's why 3/5 of a person, you see, we already know we can use our common logical sense and say that's not whole. Even if we talking about a piece of pie, etc., whatever. If you giving me, if the pie has 5 pieces and you just giving me 3, that means you didn't give me the whole pie. That's all we saying. So 3/5 of a person, it works the same way. You thinking partial. You're not thinking holistically because you've been what? You've been schooled. You see, you remember what we said? Mark Twain said, you see, that I don't let my schooling interfere with my education. See, because education is an infinite concept. Education. You shouldn't, at least, never, ever stop learning. Ever. As long as you on the earth plane. That's how this works. You see? And again, as it relates to your third eye, if it's situated in your brain, who should it belong to? That third eye should belong to you. And that third eye should be pledging allegiance to who? Mother, because that's how you got here. In order for your brain, of course, the head, we all know. See, this is logic here. You see, we going with Jesus the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Meaning, we all know that the head of a human being is the first part of the body that starts to develop. The head. So what houses the head? The brain. What houses the third eye? The brain. See how we got that? The head is the first part of the body developed in mother, inside my mother, not inside no corporation. Inside my mother, my head was the first part of my body formed. Inside of my head, you see, my head houses my brain. See, we still inside of my mother. We ain't inside of no corporation. Yet. You see? Now, within my brain, my brain houses my pineal, my pituitary, and my third eye. So all of that is mine. That's all we're saying. Inside of mother, I am developing the first part of my human body, my head. So, of course, simultaneously, my brain, my first brain. And of course, we know now that my two eyes, I'm able to see later. But that third eye, which really is your first eye, really, because it's the one that's being developed inside of mother. You see? I'm not able to see with my two eyes yet. Not while I'm inside of mother. Now, we know that, right? Okay? And the only seeing, I can see, but the only seeing is being programmed, let's use that word, through my third eye. Whatever lifestyle that my mother is living, that's what's programming my third eye. What she's eating, what she's drinking, what she's watching, what she's talking about, you see what I'm saying? What she's delving in to, etc. That's what my third eye can see. But my two eyes, they see later. You see how important this is? The first brain. Because the second brain is coming later, and that's my stomach. You see? You see how all this is important for us to be able to tie this together and know who we are so we can start pledging allegiance to mother and father? Because again, we're not trying to disregard the fact that father plays an important role in this. No, not at all. It's not what we're saying. We just putting law and order. Because again, when we say 1776, we know that it is a corporation that was created, period. That is ran by the law, the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution. You see? But you got to know what the Constitution is talking about. You see? And the wording, the language, you see? Language is very important as it relates to, like we're saying right now, this third eye lesson. Let's read real quick out of God Man, the Word Made Flesh. My man, George W. Carey. Watch out now. He's a Virgo. September 7, 1845. We just gonna read over here in page 75. You understand? Let's read it. Let's look this way. We're gonna read on page 75. The title of this section is Central Eye, which of course he's speaking about the third eye. The optic thalamus, remember? The central eye, remember? Because it sits in the right here. And is connected to, of course, mother and father, the pineal and the pituitary gland. We got that? You see, that's why we go in the Sunday school lessons later on, we get confused with making Jesus and God one in the same. That's what they always would say. When that is incorrect. That's not intelligent thinking. You see, that's just an ignorance, meaning a lack of knowing. That no, sacred mathematics, sacred geometry doesn't work like that. You see what I'm saying? You got to have a father and a mother to make a child. You see? Now, the only way that they could be considered to be one and the same is because they have the same ability. Meaning, me and my son both have a phallus. You see? That's my son. My daughter does not. So that's the only way, you see, we could be able to really just line up, you know what I mean, God and Jesus being one and the same because of that fact. But no, you got to separate it when we're talking about producing a child. The optic thalamus, the central eye, in the center of the head is called both lamp and lamb. You see? The thalamus, which is the chamber, is a mass of gray matter at the base of the cerebrum, projecting into and bounding the third ventricle. You see? So what that is telling you that, just like what we said, because the cerebrum is the upper brain. That's the masculine part of your brain. And the cerebellum is the feminine part, the mother part of your brain. And right here is just lining up with what we just said. That this central eye, you see, is directly connected to the base of the cerebrum. And again, the cerebrum is the father brain, the upper brain. The cerebellum is the mother, the lower. So basically, you see, what we wanted you to know is that this eye is considered a lamp and a lamb, where you get Aries, the ram, precious lamb of God, because Aries is the head. You see? We got that? Now, the essence of life within us, the oil, is what feeds this lamp or causes it to give light. We got that? Lamp. Light. It got to be turned on, or it could be turned off. Again, we got to know that, depending on the diet. Lamp, which simply means, when we defined it as light, you see, or rays of light, which you see, that would be coming from the sun. We still talking about light, the Father. The essence of life within us, the oil, is what feeds this lamp or causes it to give light. If it is carried up to the place where the lamp or candle, which the Bible refers to, which is the optic within the thalamus, referred to above. You see? Because that's the chamber. The chamber where this light exists. You see? If thine eye be single, thy whole body will be full of light. You see? And this is in the section of God, Man, the Word Made Flesh. Page 75. Again, we just, you see what I'm saying, just wanted to read that to let you know how important that this third eye is. It's the lamp. It's the light. It carries, it holds the power and ability to make your experience down here like it's supposed to be, because it deals with visualization and imagination. That third eye does. You see? And when you're able to deal with metaphysics and the ability to attract, you see, that third eye or that lamp, it needs to be shining bright. It needs to be on. You see? So you can magnify a holistic experience down here. You see? Let's go read this real quick out of How It Works, the book of the human body. We just tying it all in together. Walk with me, family. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go in on this thing. Just get it out the way, because it's been on my chest. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So walk with me, your good brother. The brain can store around 1 million gigabytes of data. Look at that. The brain, see what I'm saying, can store around 1 million gigabytes of data. Now look at what they're saying that's equivalent to. That's around 2,000 years worth of MP3 music, or 223,000 DVDs. And incredibly, it's possible to watch memories being made. This is what it's saying. This is what the book is saying about the brain. You see? See how that important that is, how we tie that in, how it works. Book of the human body. Everything you need to know about the human body. You see? That's what we got out of that. The brain can store around 1 million gigabytes of data. I know everybody be able to run that back. You see? And that is equivalent to 2,000 years worth of MP3 music or 223,000 DVDs, y'all. Come on now. Come on now. We got to know that our third eye, you see, when we're talking about that third eye, is connected, as we just laid out, is connected directly to your pineal and your pituitary. This is your brain, you see. And we have to know that, just like the book telling us how powerful the brain is, ours. Now, when it goes into like the actual ability, like we're saying, of the third eye, it deals with visualization. You see? The chakra Bible. It deals with visualization. Because the pineal gland is the one that secretes the melanin and serotonin. You see? And it has to be fed on down through the system, eventually getting to the third eye. The lamp. You see? Or the lamb, the precious lamb of God. You see, what is important, what this book is saying, the Chakra Bible, what is important is to develop your third eye in the realm of dreams. See, we just said that. Imagination and visualization. This is a vital step on the path of enlightenment. Intuition, prophecy, the ability to receive channeled messages and express them. This ability is all, you getting all of that through your third eye, what you call your super consciousness. That's fed again by your diet. Now, let's think about this as it relates to the corporation, United States of America. If you haven't already heard the lesson of the dollar bill, you see, what we call in the wilderness of North America, the dollar bill. Of course, that we know now is in a fiat form. It's in a paper currency form, but anciently, you see, they were spending money before 1776. It was a way to buy, you see, goods and products, etc. before 1776, you see. And then when the corporation came into operation, at that time, there was what you call the United States currency, U.S. note. It was called a United States note. You see? Now, why is this important? Because this is a major key to the lesson as it relates to the third eye. Because the United States note, you see, changed to a Federal Reserve note in 1933. Now look at the timeline. Check that timeline from 70, because the corporation, again, was created in 1776. And the way to get your bread in 1776, of course, was buying. You was either selling or trading. That's just like now. You see what I'm saying? We either selling our time for the clock, etc., to get paid, or whatever, or our time and our, you see what I'm saying, expertise for the trade of a dollar. You see, that concept ain't new. That's an ancient concept to get paid. You see? And it's very important as it relates to getting paid that we know what we talking about, what we doing here, like what this really is as it relates to getting paid. So nobody ain't cheating you out of what you supposed to be really getting. You see, walking around here getting 3/5 of a treasure. Come on now. When we talking in dollar form, you know you don't want no 3/5. You want all yours. At least I hope you do. And you should. Now watch this. In 1933, that United States note turned into a Federal Reserve note. And on that Federal Reserve note, on the back of it, the one that we call the dollar bill, you will find on the left side, that's mother. We got to know that. That the left side of your body, that's mama. That's Suna. That's Luna. Luna, you know, that's related to the moon. Your left side. Your right side, that's father. You see that? We just talking sacred geometry here. That's all that's what we talking. Supreme mathematics. You see? Not emotions. How the human body works. Seriously. Anatomy and physiology. That's what we talking here. As above, so below. You see? That cannot be refuted. That's the key. That's the key. Your body is designed a certain way. Again, on the left side of that dollar bill, that Federal Reserve note. You're saying we moving out of really touching them. You see, a generation has came in and now, you know, a lot of the way we paying stuff, buying stuff, paying for stuff, etc., a lot of it is digital now. So we might be kind of, you see what I'm saying? A little far removed from really getting this lesson, but it's important because that dollar, we already know as it relates to U.S. That's the currency that's flowing, how we get it done, you see? In the wilderness of North America, that's how we get it done, baby. Now again, on the left side, so the moral of that story, we gotta get it. So we not dismissing the fact. We not downplaying the dollar. That ain't what we're doing. We're defining it. You see? Metaphysically, because that's important to do. You remember? Walk with me, family. You see? Metacostal, clone-free talk. You see? Knowledge of self, health is wealth. You see? Now again, on the left side, that's mother of that Federal Reserve note, what we call a dollar bill, there's a pyramid. You see a pyramid that it's cut. It's not a whole pyramid. That pyramid is two pieces. It's split in two pieces. And at the bottom of it, it says, Great Seal. That's what it says. And the pyramid is separated at the top by another small little pyramid that has an eye in it. You see? You see how the lesson is going? We ain't getting this in economics in the independent school district. Ain't nobody breaking that down, the symbology of what this really is. You see, why is that eye, you see, separated from the pyramid? And remember we said the left side, that's mother. On the bottom of it says Great Seal. Now go over there to the right. The right side of that dollar bill, there's an eagle with a totally different seal. See? And under that eagle, you see, the words say, of the United States. It say of the United States. Remember we told you what that preposition of means? That there's business in operation. You see? That's two different seals. One is anciently and organically belonging to, as above, so below, as within, so without, to the melanoids of the Earth planet. In every any continent you can name on the Earth planet, that the melanoid, you see, can be found as it relates to tribal or villages of melanoids. That pyramid, that seal, belongs to them. Now on the right side, you see how this working? That seal belongs to who we are taught in independent school district to be the who? The fathers. You see? The quote unquote forefathers of the United States of America. You remember? George Washington and the crew. You see? Now we know with our logical sense, we put that together that we're not related. That's two different nations of people. You see? And again, on the left side over there where mama is, the eye is displaced. See how this symbology is working? That's your third eye that they took from mother. Mine too. Inside of the county of whatever county your mama was in. You see? We all know that that's not correct. That's improper language to say that the county in, because it was the county at. You were at. You see? See, that's proper. You see how we got to get the language, jurisdiction, right, talk. That's what jurisdiction means. Juris, meaning right. Diction, you see, diction, talk. Or language, diction. You see what I'm saying? Talk. Right talk. In order for me to say that right, it was the county that my mother was at, because she wasn't in it. We live within, you see, God body lives within himself. The goddess, God body, lives within herself. So that's what my mother was. She was living within herself. But the county that she was at, that's where the right side of that dollar, that's where, you see, the birthright theft came in at right there. And of course, we know the rest. We know the story because they done took my third eye. You remember? On the left side over there, where this eye is displaced. You done took the third eye from my mother because my mother thought, you see, that was doing us, her and me, a favor by sending me into these independent school district chambers, you see? And as the infamous Harvey Watkins Jr. and the Canton Spiritual say, she drugged me to church, you see? My mother drugged me to Sunday school. She thought that was, doing the right thing. But that was only 3/5 of the lesson. You see how where we getting here about this third eye? You see? And you're disqualifying all the visualization abilities, you see? The imagination abilities, you see? You're disqualifying all of that by pledging allegiance, you see, to that right side over there, your intuition, your prophecy, you see? That type of ability is thrown out the window when we pledge allegiance to that right side. We ain't even looking at the signs, you see what I'm saying? And again, still on the back of that dollar, you see in God we trust. That God is not the God my mama was speaking about. Mama and them was talking about. You see, that's gold or diamonds or governmental ordnance department. Because that's what go on. There's ordinances that are elected or passed. You see? And then here you go. I.e., wear a mask. That's an ordinance. You see? That, of course, is directly related to a 3/5 of a person. You see? That's directly related to the right side of that dollar bill over there, where it says of the United States. Because, you see, again, we got to be able to define the symbols. Going back to nationality, you see, and this whole third eye conversation. The only way that you'll be able to get these lessons is within your culture. That's your nationality. Nationality is what? A people. You see? A flag. A seal. A piece of land. And the law, the Constitution. That's what makes up a nation of people. A nationality, you see? Your nationality is, you see, comprised of, again, a people, a landmass, a flag, a seal, and the law, a constitution. You see how that works? Now, again, when you don't know who you are and you thinking that you are being considered as a human being within this of the United States concept on the right side of that dollar bill. Because remember, we say of now, that means business is an operation. You remember? Because you got to buy your driver's license. You have to pay, it's a fee. You see, you have to buy, you see what I'm saying, your registration through the county of. It's a fee. It's not free. So that means there's business in operation. Remember? You see? And your state issued ID number gets you in. You see? Or your state issued driver's license number, it gets you in to be able to buy, sell, and trade within this corporation. It's on a state level. You see, of course, a federal level first, state level, you see, a city level, and county. We already see that. You paying for everything. Your marriage license, you see? You're going to show your state issued ID and pay for it. You see how this is going? Now, again, we're not saying all of this to say don't get in the game. We're just saying get in the game holistically. You see, because there is some immunities set in place within your birthright. Birthright meaning you don't have no permit, you don't need permission from anyone. You see? That's the birthright issue. You see? That's the birthright. Connection with your human self is that it comes with the only price is through your mother and your father, because your father had to, you see, fertilize the egg that needed electricity. He brought the electricity for the egg, and then the whole creative process, you see, starts then when the egg, we already know, receives the sperm to do what it do. So if you say any price being paid, it's your parents. And of course, you know your mother being the ultimate, because she carries us in her womb for 9 months. You see what I'm saying? Her nose get, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Spreading and feet swelling. So again, we need to be paying honor. You know what I'm saying? To our mothers and fathers, like the scriptures say. Obey your mother and father, you see? And obeying them is by being who you are. not who you programmed to be. That's obvious at this point, because that's where the disease is running rampant, within that 3/5 of a person concept and frequency. That's where the sickness, you see, is coming from. So again, mother is holding me in her womb, and I come out of her, you see what I'm saying, with a genetic, biological DNA code already in me, instruction. Of course, there's some nurturing that, of course, and some leading and guiding that comes with the process of this child becoming whole and thinking whole. That comes, you see, in another lesson on how to nurture, you see what I'm saying, that child. But we know, as of just in layman's understanding, that the mother goes through quite a bit. So what we're saying is, for the baby to be born and just given over into a corporation, the whole mind thing, you see what I'm saying? Because you're left, your mind, body, and soul is in your possession in this 3/5 of a concept, you see, but the corporation is running it. See, and that the whole running it comes from these other two pillars that's missing. You see, your nationality and your divine creed. Divine creed meaning who is God, where is God, and what is God. You see? That's important. That whole lesson right there. Because again, the third eye has been misplaced. It's been tucked away by the corporation at birth, when we saying over to the right side of that dollar where it says of the United States, where this corporation is being, you see, there's a seal right there. You see? Where if your whole self, again, your mind, body, and soul, if you giving it away to this entity, that's where the trouble starts. And that's where we won't be able to get this prophetic ability out of the third eye. You see what I'm saying? Because, again, like we're saying, it was a part of the plan. We know that. And when we're dealing with the thing in truth, from 1776 to 2020, that's a long time. You see what I'm saying? That's an enormous amount of time to be able to establish these institutions, you see, that we ain't really, you see what I'm saying? That's the third eye, the ability for the third eye to see, say, man, hold on, I ain't getting the whole thing. You see what I'm saying? That's the ability of the third eye right there. And that lets us know that, you see what I'm saying? Again, the light has been turned off. You living, we have been, you see what I'm saying, in total darkness up until the time that the enlightenment come through, though, because we all have to deal with the opportunity. We all do have to deal with that opportunity of the light being shed on us. We all got to deal with it. Now, whether we, you see what I'm saying, are able to, you see, have that third eye ability to be able to discern it and receive it, that's a whole nother conversation as well. That's a whole nother lesson. You see how important this third eye thing is? Because again, we'll talk about the bread, but we won't even go through this lesson. And of course, you can find that dollar bill lesson all over YouTube, I'm sure, because it's really, now we can't call it ancient, because it didn't come into play until 1933, when the Federal Reserve was birthed. Because we got to know that whole entity right there, you see, that's how you get the paper currency. And that's how that's what gave the federal, you see, entity of the United States of America. That's what gave them the power to be able to print up paper money. Because again, you got a corporation in operation here, and it's bagged by paperwork. And you remember what we just told you? You going to the county of to pay for something, remember? Marriage license, driver's license, etc. All your licenses, etc. You see? They're being paid for, remember? So that's what's allowing this Federal Reserve note to do what it do, to be able to be, to even be able to be in existence. The state of, the county of business. You see? And again, on the back of that dollar bill, you know, it's like, you see, the truth has to be, again, like we saying, you get the opportunity for the light to be shined down on you, each and every human being walking the face of the earth. But whether you're able to catch the symbols or not is a whole nother conversation. That's the third eye blast. You see, if the pineal is calcified or not, if it's working in organic condition or not. Because the pineal, like we just read earlier, it secretes melanin and serotonin. You see? And that's a whole nother conversation of the calcified state that 3/5 of a person's pineal is in at birth. That's the whole key of the transferring of the birthright. It's birthright theft, actually. You know what I mean? In universal law, as it relates to divine law, it's birthright theft. It's treason. Because it's birthright theft and treason how, Brother Sekond Sun? How is that my mother was not sat down? They didn't sit, you see, there wasn't a human being to sit my mother down and explain to her, you see, the checklist of what's about to go on with her second son. You see? And second with a K, S-U-N. You see? That's why it's treason. You see, because you just took my mother in a spiritual headlock, you see, and didn't give her the checklist. Like, okay, this is what we're about to do with your second son, Mother Carolyn. We're about to take him and we're about to create Miss Queen Carolyn, Empress Carolyn. You see, we're about to create a private trust account in his name, quote unquote. You see? Because when we go into corporate law, we'll find that anything in all caps, you see? When it's in all caps, that's straw. That's business. That's a straw name. That's a corporate name. That's you see, a corporate entity when we go into corporate law. You see? See, they're not explaining this to Mother Carolyn. And when we create this private trust account, we're going to be the ones that oversee the funds. So me knowing my mother, you see how my face frowned up? I know that my mother I know my mother is going to say, oh, what you just say? Run that by me again? You know what I'm saying? I know my mother. About her babies. Her first and second son. Anybody know her, know she crazy about them. She crazy. She crazy about, I mean, in a good way, of course. She crazy about her boys. You see? So I know for a fact that if the business in operation here would have sat my mama down and said, yeah, that's what we're going to do, Mother Carolyn. She going to say, nah, you see what I'm saying? Nah, we're not going to be able to do it. You say you need my signature for it. You need me to sign right here. Nah, we're not going to be able to do it. You see? But of course, as we can see, that, excuse you, good brother, that was not explained. So that's what makes it treason. We're talking universal law as it relates to nationality here. You see? Not 3/5 of a person corporate law, see? Because that corporate law is what governs that straw. You see? Within the corporation that created it. See how all this is important? Because again, we go into the registry. Because you're going to register your child with the independent school district. You see what I'm saying? In the city of. In the state of. You see? Remember? Now again, all of this is third eye lesson. This third eye lesson. We ain't, you know what I'm saying? It's very important that we ain't left the topic. It's the third eye exposed. You see? That's how important this is. Now, again, like we saying, we're not saying disregard the business and operation, because there is a way that you can get in there and benefit holistically. It is. But you got to know who you are. Otherwise, we'll be still singing, "We shall overcome." You see? And that's a civil, my civil rights come with my birthright. You see how important this is? My civil rights are embedded in my birthrights. Remember, we said birthrights is something that you don't ask nobody for. It comes straight through my mother's womb. You see how you get these civic centers, you know what I mean, in these, you know, in these different cities. There's going to be a civic center, you know what I mean, somewhere, or a civic building. You see, it all mimics, everything is mimicking as above, so below, because that's law. You have to be able to see the manifestations of universal and divine law within this corporation, because universal and divine law trumps corporate law. Meaning, universal and divine law precedes, it comes before corporate law. Corporate law cannot exist without universal and divine law and natural law and cosmic law. You see? It couldn't exist. So that's why, of course, there's going to be symbology in it all the way to Washington, D.C. You see? When our good brother Benjamin Banneker Bay, you understand me? Off that Dogon tribe. He the one who laid out the blueprint, you see, for the DC area. That's important, because that's where business is taking place that we're talking about here. That, of course, on the left side of that dollar bill, remember, that's the business and operation that has taken away the ability of the third eye to see. That's why it's separated from the pyramid on the left side of the dollar bill. Because again, we told you, that's mother, the left side of your body, the left hemisphere of your brain, that's mother. The right side is father. You see how all this is important? Because on the right side, remember, it says on the right side of the dollar bill of the United States. You see, and you remember what George Washington said? And now I've chopped down my father's cherry tree. Remember that? So you got to take the lessons and be able to decipher them. But again, as it relates to the third eye has to be in working condition. You see? You know how you got, you know what I'm saying, that transmission done, you know what I mean? It's slipping. And you got one of those automobiles that you can't go in reverse. Oh, no, I can't go in reverse. I got to park where, you know what I'm saying, where I can just get out straight. You see? That's the same, that's symbolic of the pineal, you see what I'm saying, being calcified on the level of having the third eye out of order. It's malfunctioning. Same scenario. You know what I'm saying? Your third eye is not able to go in reverse. You remember we said in the lesson, you remember the Chakra Bible said that your third eye gives you the ability in the dream world. And anytime you're talking about the ability to be in the dream world and prophecy and be intuitive, you see what I'm saying? You definitely have to have a memory ability. So memory is what? Going backwards. You see what I'm saying? Same scenario as that transmission slipping. You see? You can't go, it's slipping, man. I can't go in reverse. That's the same, you see what I'm saying, scenario as your third eye not being able to get these lessons is what we're saying. You're not being able to function, go in reverse, stay in neutral, go in drive, etc. You might have to go down there in a hard drive where you see the you know what I'm saying, the L2s, L1s on down there on you see what I'm saying? Your gear shift. You have to have that ability to go into them. That's third eye ability. You see? And again, on the right side of that dollar bill of the United States, George Washington said what again? And now I chopped down my fathers. Remember, that was in Philly. Remember that? Now, when you define Philly, the city of brotherly love, when you define Philly metaphysically, this church of Philadelphia that the Bible is speaking of, that Philadelphia is defined as the third eye or the brow chakra. When you go into your metaphysical curriculum, you'll find out, you see, that the church of Philadelphia in the Bible was that was the third eye defined. That's what the third eye is. Defined as one of the chakras, one of the 7 chakras in the Bible, the church of Philadelphia. You see how that works? When you do your due diligence, you'll find that out. That's what the church of Philadelphia means metaphysically in the Bible. Your third eye. That's what it's speaking about. Now again, George Washington said what? In the city of Philadelphia? Huh? Walk with me. In this whole 1774 through 1776 blast, where this, you see, the corporation was being created. George Washington, we're going to say it again. George Washington said, in the city of Philadelphia. See how they putting all this together for you? The city of the third eye. One of the 7 major chakras. This over in Revelations when we talking about the 7 churches. You see how that's tying together? You see? It's that Metacostal talk. George Washington said in the city of Philadelphia, we're going to say it again, and now I chopped down my father's cherry tree. You remember we just said on the right side of that dollar bill. Right is always father, the right side of you. See? Sooner. The sun. Right side. Right side of the right hemisphere of your brain. That's father. See? Just giving you the keys now, whether we able to, you see, take this lesson and go on and turn it into wisdom, you see, meaning activate it. Not just be able to be on here live, you know what I mean, just to say I'm live and, you know what I mean, listen to me, you feel me? Whoop-de-woo. That's not what this is about. This is about raising consciousness on a higher level so you can get a higher vibration of an experience down here on the earth planet. That's the whole purpose of the lesson, to be able to decipher the symbology in all of this. You see? And then again, you've heard your brother say, to add on to what George Washington said, you also heard your good brother say, or maybe you haven't, that George Washington is the only Caucasian that we know of wearing that surname or that quote unquote last name on, as it relates to this the North America experience, what we call the United States of America, meaning the people we went to school with, you went to school with, in these independent school district chambers, and the people you went to school with, you don't find no Caucasians wearing the last name Washington. But in when it's really it's his story, you see? In his story, you'll find this is the only Caucasian wearing this last name. You see how this is working? You see what I'm saying? But you have melanoids or so-called black people by the droves that's doing business in the United States of America wearing that last name and doing business in that last name. Denzel Washington is one that comes to mind. Isaiah Washington, Kerry Washington comes to mind. You see? And as you can see these Washingtons that we name, and they are of some type of, prominence. Again, you might have heard me say it before, but I say it again. I can name 3 Washingtons that I went to high school with that, as it relates to how we perceive life through a 3/5 of a person lens, I would say that they came from prominence, and you would too. You know what I mean? And when we say prominence, meaning like, yeah, you could tell that they came from something, like from the way they was driving, from the way they was dressing, from the way that they was talking and acting and their output in school. These 3 individuals I'm talking about that I went to high school with that wear the last name Washington. You see? Now again, George Washington is the only Caucasian Washington that we could come up with. You see? Now why are we saying that? Because we know that these are slave owners. And every president, POTUS, you see? Every POTUS, you see what I'm saying? From 1 to 45 is connected to this slave holder generational wealth entity. You see? That's all we saying here. We know that. That's actual factual. Now, why is that important? Because when we saying civil rights, you see what I'm saying? When you're asking a corporation for civil rights, who are you asking? You see what I'm saying? Because again, your civil rights embedded in your birthright, so it ain't even, it's free. It's quote unquote, like we're saying, mom and daddy go through the process of us being able to benefit from our birthright, because that's just simply being born. You see? But when we're talking about get your foot off my neck, you see what I'm saying? As it relates to a human discussion, like I'm a human being, as it relates to that human being discussion, that's a whole nother conversation, because how are you going to be able to be granted a foot off your neck from a corporation that we see now was created to have its foot on your neck? And that foot on your neck is displacing, as we can see, the third eye ability. The ability for that third eye to operate holistically. That's obvious at this point. You see, family? What is the solution? The solution is to take this lesson right here and dissect it and find out who you really are, so you can master that 3/5 of a person self. and become whole again. Because your birthright, you see, in the process, was stolen in a treasonistic, if I can make that a treasonistic way. You see? But of course, like we saying, mama and them thinking they doing us a favor, just like their parents thought. But again, as it relates to this 3/5 of a person frequency and being brutalized mentally now and raped mentally, as it relates to that, we have to, you see, look deeply into this concept, because it's a psychological thing here that we're saying, to be psychologically abused and raped through these institutions that were set up for just that, as we can see. You see? We're not getting these lessons, not these lessons, not no third eye lesson, not even the symbology lesson of symbols. You see? And what you call sigils. We're not getting that curriculum. You see? So again, we got to see that it's for a reason. And again, you're not gonna be able to go to a corporation that was created to psychologically abuse you. That's why it was created. Because remember, they say, let's go ahead and use that language. They say that if you put it in a book, my people will not read it. You go to yawning. You don't want none. You see? And it's important to know that the word is God. The word, if the word is God, then the written word is important. Don't let nobody fool you on that. Now, of course, you got people to say, well, I ain't do a lot of reading, blah, 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 whatever. And that's a whole nother conversation, because we're going to have to talk about environment. You know what I'm saying? Who raised them, etc. Because we already know that that's going to play a major role in them being able to kind of bypass a lot of the reading, those that say that. Like, I ain't, you know what I mean? And I still, but again, education is infinite though. So that's still egotistical. Education, not schooling, education is infinite. So therefore, you see what I'm saying? The written word, I thank God for it, me personally. You see what I'm saying? Because that way can't nobody bamboozle me. But you say, a person, a human being got to write it. Yeah. And that's how divine law works. Because divine law is going to have it that the right person is going to write the right book, put the right literature, all that in it for the right people to be able to eat it. Period. You see? And again, they say if you put it in the book, we ain't gonna read. Again, this is a lesson, the third eye lesson that we've brought to the table, the dollar bill. You see? Walk with me. We brought the dollar bill to the lesson. You see? You see? My good brother, he said, how do you, I'm just not seeing the chat. Yeah, how do you decalcify the pineal gland? Peace, God. I'm glad you said that, because we can get into that before I get up out of here. I'm definitely trying to ease on, just take my time with this one, because it's been on my chest for a minute. Real tough. You see? Now again, reading. You see what I'm saying? We brought the dollar bill. You got to be able to look at the dollar bill and read and see. You see what I'm saying? And then be able to tie all this in together. That third eye. That's what it is. It helps the process. You see? Now, in order to untangle or unravel all of this, as it relates to the treason that has went on, Because remember, I say a lot, you know what I mean, as it relates to birthright, you'll hear me use that language a lot. Because your birthright, again, holds the genetic code, the DNA code to who you are, all the way from the hair follicles on your head and wherever they grow, pubic area, etc. From that all the way to your nose, the way it's shaped, your teeth, you see, your feet, etc. You know what I mean? All of that, all of those physical attributes, you know what I mean? The size of your lips, etc. You get it, family. Is embedded in your DNA code. That's why you're gonna get the melanoids, your hair follicles. They grow towards the sun, period. That Caucasoid, their hair follicles do not grow towards the sun. That's a fact. They grow down. See? That ain't saying nobody is better than the other. We just deciphering the knowledge of self, like who I really am. Because again, when you delve into it, deeply into the knowledge of self and what it means and defines, you find power. That's the whole key. i.e. 12 powers of man. You know what I'm saying? Look out, Frank, son. I see you out there, baby. You know, I'm just not seeing my chat because I got to watch another screen. You know what I'm saying? With the whole, you know what I mean, modern day online blast. You got to be able to multitask. But yes, you see, there's powers. That's the whole key. From within man, not outside, but from within. And this third eye plays a major role in the navigation, you see, on how you move on this earth planet. Either you moving like a slave or you moving like a master. You see? It's only two sides, one or two sides. You got to take them. You see? Now again, we got to be able to appreciate the word to unravel this thing. Because the word is God. And again, the written word, we got to be able to, you see what I'm saying? Have the motivation. Let's say that. Let's use that word. The motivation to delve into it and save ourselves. Because that's the whole theme of our existence on the earth plane as it relates to a savior. You have to do it. Man, heal thyself. And when we say man, man is a species, male and female. Save yourself. Save thyself. And saving thyself going into the ability to decalcify that pineal gland in order for that third eye and the pituitary gland, for that matter, to work in its proper operation, meaning in its organic fashion, how God created it to operate. You see? In order to decalcify and get rid yourself of that 3/5 of a person frequency, you first got to get this lesson. The whole Jacob and Esau lesson of why a twin that the scriptures is saying that there in Rachel's womb, there are two nations. You remember we just said on the dollar bill on the left side, the Great Seal is what it say. That's a nation of people. On the other side where that eagle is, of the United States, that's a nation of people. You see? More so persons on the right side. You see? Now we tying in the biblical narrative because it's allegorical. The whole Bible narrative in any ancient script narrative is allegorical. It's describing as above, so below, as within, so without principles. You see? As it relates to your spirit self, your spirit man has a lineage. Just like you got a physical lineage through you know who your mama is, your daddy, you see what I'm saying? Their parents and their parents, etc. Your spirit man, you see, the one that is master of self, has a lineage as well. So we have to go into these Holy Script narratives to identify ourselves spiritually. So that's why we're bringing that up. Castor and Pollux are two as above entities. These are stars. That's my family too. That's a part of my spiritual lineage. Yours as well. We got to know that on that left side, again, where that pyramid is, with the eye separated from it, is a nation of people. Of the United States, on the right side of that dollar bill, is a different, not the same, a different nation of people. So that's where you get this narrative, where we pick up on the narrative in the Bible, in Genesis, the genes of Isis, meaning your genes, your spiritual genes of Isis, that's mother. Isis can be defined, the pituitary gland can be defined as Isis as well. You see, because Isis and Aset are one and the same. That's the same entity, just different names. You see? The biblical narrative in Genesis says that Rachel has two different nations in her womb. One twin is asking another twin to sell them their birthright. Now, when you go into corporate law, you'll find that, you see, corporate law meaning, go define it in one of your Black's law dictionary, in a law dictionary, your Black's law or your Bouvier. You see, the Bible to the right side of that dollar bill of the United States. That's the Bible that runs that nation of persons. Law dictionary. And when you go into them, one of them, you'll define the word birthright. And that word birthright, as it relates to law, will be defined, and it'll let you know that your birthright cannot be bought, sold, or traded. You see how this is working? Now, when you find that out, that's when you start, as it relates to your spirit man. You get to putting your spiritual lineage together and putting it in law and order and putting it in its proper place. Meaning, okay, I am a part of this right side of the dollar bill. I gotta be. You know what I mean? Because that's how I get in the U.S. game. From the county of, the city of, and the state of. That's how I get in there. But that ain't master though. Because see, we twins, yeah, but one shouldn't be selling the other one no birthright unless, see, watch this, unless these twins have different fathers. Now you see how the spiritual lineage is breaking up now? Because these two twins have different fathers. Remember George Washington said, and now I chop down my father's cherry tree. You see? That is working. And when he chopped down his father's cherry tree, he made babies with, we already know that, he made babies with quote unquote slaves, or what we, you know what I'm saying, really need to refer to as prisoners of war. He made babies with the women. And we already see that the name Washington, it lived on. That's obvious. But the only Caucasian Washington that we know of is George. You see how this is working? Now that might explain how the whole narrative about Esau it disappears. You don't even find, you see, major narrative going on in the Bible about Esau. It picks up more so on who Jacob is and the tribes of Jacob or Judah. You see? We got to, you see what I'm saying? We got to get in there, family, and ask questions. See, this third eye issue here. Your third eye has to be, you see what I'm saying? In a lit, as the young folks say, has to be in a lit operative status to be able to get these keys to the degrees. Because again, you don't just go throwing the baby out with the bathwater, just talking about, you know what I mean? Church they ain't doing, the Bible is a lie, boo, 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 boo. You can't just lead the people like that. That's ego. And so you got to be able to take what they know. And that's what mama and them know, papa and them know, is that Bible. But you see, what's meant for evil, it turn into good, you see? Because that's how the law works, divine law. It turned into good by the gods going in asking questions. You remember asking ye shall receive? The gods going in there and asking questions, and then here come, you see, God revealing these symbols. You see? Because again, you got to be able to see that, family. That, oh, okay, there has been a private trust account, meaning a private trust person that was created, and it's all legal. You see, that's what we got to know. It's all legal when you get the consent from the governed. That's where the signature come in at, mama, at the county of. You see, when mama put the signature, you see? And we got to remember the narrative. Esau was what? He was known to be the hunter. He was going to get it. You see, some understand that lesson to be the opposite of what I do, but I understand that lesson of Esau being the melanoids. That's the way I get that, because who you know is the hard workers. Esau was the hard worker. He was gathering up. He was a hunter. You see, an avid hunter. He going out there getting it. He working so much, he's not even, you see, aware. See, there go that third eye. He's not even aware of a birthright because his twin, you remember Jacob or Yakub is the way I understand this lesson. You see? Capital E-Y-E. The way I understand this biblical lesson is that Yakub, you see, that's where the whole 3/5 of a person concept come from. You see? Because it was what? Trickery in it. Because no twin, you see, in the womb shouldn't be talking about sell me no birthright. You see how that worked? Because remember we told you as birthright is defined in law, not in emotions, in law. Bouvier or Black's Law. The Bible to U.S.A. You'll find the Constitution inside both of them. You see? Print it up. And within them, when you define the word birthright, it said it can't be bought, sold, or traded. So that means it was some trickery in Jacob's mind. See? Now, whose mind is that? Because again, remember, a corporation was created on trickery. It wasn't created for your divineness and your godliness. You see? It was created to suck out of you all of your life force and leave you with nothing. Huh? Come on now. Walk with me. Twins, Jacob and Esau. Again, Esau, to me, in my understanding, that's us. That's the melanoid. Hard worker, avid hunter. Jacob, Yakub, is up under mama. That's the narrative on Jacob. But of course, we know you can't separate them. They twins. You got to have one. You see, if you're going to have one, you got to have the other. You see? That's left, right. North, south, east, west, etc. See, these simple keys, but we got to go get them though. As above, so below. As within, so without. That's where it started. Yeah. I ain't saying that Jacob ain't my brother, ain't part of my lineage. That ain't what we saying. You see? But we're putting law in order. We putting it in its proper, organic, righteous perspective. Because the trickery mind has been running the show. The one that want to trick somebody out of something. See, that's an energy. Jacob is a principle, not a human being. Just like every other character in these religious or you see, holy scripts. Every character is in principle form. It's defining a principle. Jacob is a principle. Jacob got that trickery in him, just like Judas. You see? But you got to take them because we all, in going back to your DNA code, it's all of these principles are embedded inside of that DNA code. But it's up to you, you see, to be operating in a uncalcified pineal gland state to where that third eye and pituitary mother is working in divine fashion, grand fashion, to where can't nobody trick you out of nothing because you know. You remember? In all thy getting, get an understanding. That means you know something. You see? Now again, this 3/5 of a person is the paper you. You see how this going now? We got to be able, again, to be able to put all this together and activate it in real time because your good brother already have. You see, as it relates to third eye, prophecy, visualization, being able to utilize my imagination and the laws that govern it as it relates to attracting a certain experience in your life. Your good brother has done that and doing it every day and more. Because now I know who I am. You move different. You remember? When you know better, you do better. That's the whole key to the lesson. You see, family? Is when you know better that you do better. You see? And these lessons allow one to be able to detox. Let's go to decalcifying the pioneer, my good brother. Lean on me. Come through in the chat that I saw. You see? Decalcifying that pineal gland is very important. And the process of doing it, because the process of doing it is tied directly to the Esau and Jacob narrative. You see? And again, that Esau, to me, is the melanoids because we hard workers. We put it together. We the one who put it down. We not sitting on the sideline. Jacob was sitting on the sideline. See what I'm saying? Again, not to say that his energy is not needed. You see, you got to know what evil is so you can be able to identify good. But again, Esau was such a hard worker to where he had no knowledge. You see, that sounds like us. No knowledge of self, had no knowledge of a birthright, because your birthright is directly connected to your knowledge of self. Your knowledge of self is directly connected to your nationality. You see, and again, nationality is culture. The landmass, the people, the flag, the seal, the Constitution. You know what I mean? The way that the Constitution meaning how we buy, sell, and trade. You see, there's a code to it. We need, you see, that organic. We need to revert back to that organic way of doing things, and this is how we do it. You see what I'm saying? Jacob just to me, just feel like that's the 3/5 of a person frequency. That's that get over. You know how we plot and scheme? You know what I'm saying? The white folks do it. That 3/5 of a person that way. You know this how they do it. All that old, you know what I mean? That paperwork scheming. See, that's what we want to say. Yeah, that's where you get that paperwork scheming frequency from. The court. That's that 3/5. That's Jacob. Sell me your birthright. You see what I'm saying? That's where you get that whole thing from. When we should know by now that that's a shortcut. That whole pyramid scheme energy. That's a shortcut. We already know it ain't. You know what I'm saying? We should be. You see what I'm saying? Past that spiritually now. You know, as it relates to spiritual maturation, we should be past that. Like we see the results of doing it like them, cause it ain't benefited nothing. You see, they got a whole generation walking around here with holes in their face. You know what I mean? From the meth epidemic. You know what I mean? You don't want to be doing it like them. See, we done already. You know what I mean? Had to navigate our way through that whole crack epidemic that directly affected us as it relates to child rearing in specifics, because that child didn't get the proper nurturing during this crack epidemic. You see? Why are we saying that? Because now we fast forward to the day, there's a meth epidemic in the Caucasoid community. They walking around with holes in their face. You see? So that's what I'm saying. You don't want to do it like them. That's the whole purpose. Get right, church. You see? And let's go home to the left side of that dollar bill, but we're connecting that eye. So you got to connect that eye that's separated on the left side of that dollar bill. You got to go get the keys to the degrees and grab that eye and connect it back and make your pyramid whole. Because within that pyramid is what? A trinity. A holy trinity would be father, mother, and child. You see? That's the whole key here. And again, what we're trying to do is get the best experience that we were born to get on the earth plane. So how do we do that? By decalcifying this 3/5 of a person frequency, or by detoxing this 3/5 of a person frequency and get it how you was born to get it. Meaning it ain't no shortcuts. That's what we're saying. Because that's a shortcut frequency with this 3/5. That's a shortcut when Jacob said, sell me your birthright, brother, twin brother. You see? That's a shortcut. We already grown. We old enough to know now that there ain't no future in them shortcuts, man. There's always a downfall. We trying to establish generational wealth here, you see, family. So we don't have time for shortcuts. We got to establish it and make it the foundation, you see what I'm saying, the opposite of sinking sand. You remember the 3 little pigs? You know what I'm saying? We got this symbology in all of this. Wonder Woman, you saying He-Man, etc. Batman. Remember the 3 little pigs? You ain't trying to build no straw house. You see what I'm saying? They can get the big, you see, the big bad wolf come blow down. You see? You remember? You got to build a house on a strong, solid foundation that the big bad wolf can't, you see? U dot, S dot, A dot. The big bad wolf. Babylon. You see? You can't be getting caught up trying to build a Tower of Babel. That's the shortcuts. See what I'm saying? Trying to shortcut it. When God gave you holistic ability to get it how you were divinely ordained to get it. But you want to, you see what I'm saying? Waddle in the mud with pigs. That's what you want. You want to waddle in the mud with pigs? You see, you coming out dirty, muddy, shortcut. It's enough of that. Whole pyramid scheme type, you You see what I'm saying? Energy about you. Detox that. That's decalcifying the pineal gland. Where do you start? You see what I'm saying? First with these lessons, these keys to the degrees, and be able to, you see what I'm saying, digest them in truth. Drink more water. It's gonna sound plain. Drink water. Good spring water, good clean water. Turn that TV off of any low vibration programming. Turn that off. You're gonna have to do it. You have to, you see what I'm saying? Come out from among them to be healed, you see? Because it's a healing process. To be able to decalcify that pineal gland and get it in divinely working order, you see? It's a cleansing process. You got to take off a whole lot, you see, that of the program. Now let me rephrase that. Let us rephrase that. You have to take off the whole program and replace it with your divine creed and your nationality. Remember, we saying 5 over 5. Because the corp gave you your mind, body, and soul, but took them. That's what that I on the left side of that dollar bill represents. That's why it's displaced from the whole pyramid. Because your nationality, you see, and divine creed has been taken and left you with just 3/5 of yourself, mind, body, and soul. But even that mind, body, and soul that you're in possession of, you see, as it relates to this 1776 blast and until to date, as it relates to that, you missing something. You see, you missing something because your 3/5 self, mind, body, and soul, you're in possession of, but the corporation is running it. The corporation has the power and the influence over it. You see? Decalcifying that pineal gland to get that whole part of your brain. You see, the Most High God, that's the pineal gland. The Most High God. You see? Just like the sun, the S-U-N, the Most High God. In order to get it in working, organic, divinely operational status, you see, you have to rid yourself of all of this programming. Like we're saying, drink more water. Take out the low vibrational TV programs, you see. Do more reading. Start with yourself. Just ask yourself, where should I start? And I promise you, the answer is coming to you. But it's very important for you to delve into anatomy and physiology. I will tell you that. A&P. You see? It's very important to delve into that as it relates to man, know thyself. Yeah, it's important that you go ahead and delve into, you see, anatomy and physiology. How the human body works. Because we, again, are in, you see, saying, as it relates to this 1776 blast, my people been in possession of our mind, body, and soul, but not in control of it. And what's been in control of this 3/5 of a person is a corporate entity that was created to do so, to control the mind, body, and soul. What you eating, you see what I'm saying? You need to refrain from all fast food joints. I'm telling you that off the muscle. You know what I mean, it's just that real. Fast food joint, yeah, that fried, deep fried stuff. Refrain. We talking about decalcifying the pineal now. You see? Refrain from that. Incorporate green veggies, fruits into your diet. You see? X out that white processed bleached sugar and the bleached processed flour. You see, it's that important because we've been messed up, family. It's that important. You gotta lay down your burdens. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Lay down my burdens down by the riverside to study war no more. War no more. W-A-R. Because it's a war. That's what it is. It's a war between higher self and lower self. That's God and the devil. And if you just 3/5 operating on 3/5, you see what I'm saying? You're not even in control. You see? There's a corporate entity that's in control. It was created to do so again. So you got to lay down your burdens. Because that's what got the disease. You got to go to sleep. You got to be able to sleep. We talking about decalcifying that pineal gland. So that third eye can operate, you see, divinely. You need to be able to sleep in total darkness. Turn that TV off, night light, etc. This all when you go into the science of the brain and the pineal and the pituitary and the third eye, because again, the third eye or the brow chakra is a metaphysical lesson in there. And again, as it relates to a machine, that's why we say, get acquainted, well acquainted with AMP and biochemistry. You see? Because that's how you get the keys to the degrees. Because this is a machine. The human body is a machine, divinely created to operate divinely. You see? So therefore, again, when we're saying sleep in total darkness, turn that TV off, you certain light, you know what I mean? You need a certain amount of sunlight, etc., to feed and nourish that pineal. Because you remember the pineal secretes melanin and serotonin. Serotonin is what you're going to use, you see what I'm saying, throughout your day. That's your daytime blast. You know what I mean? Meaning you need to be vibrating high enough during the daytime light or the daylight on some, I'm motivated to do better. Because in a calcified state, you depressed. You don't want no sunlight. You see? Close them blinds, etc. That's in a calcified pineal state. And again, all of this matters because you're equipped with a divine machine that operates a certain way. That's where AMP, biochemistry, come in at. You see? Because this is the undisputable evidence. You know what I mean? It's a certain way that you approach the decalcified process. Again, you want to turn up, as it relates to what you're watching, you want to turn up on a higher frequency before you lay down and go to sleep. So you're not going and laying down on low vibrational frequencies. You sad or you super mad because you are attached to this corporate entity that was created to have you sick and headed to the goddamn pharmacy and the liquor store religiously. You see what I'm saying? And again, we already know how it go. We got Christians that go to the liquor store and party on the weekend, all night long, etc. Yada yada. We're not judging anyone, but we're assessing. Because you got to have the ability to assess anyone as it relates to the law, mayat. You know what I mean? And what you want your frequency on. This corporation was created to keep you again at the goddamn liquor store and at the pharmacy. And we already know that both of those places does not feed nourishment to the body. Again, We all know that both of those places, the liquor store and the pharmaceutical industry, the pharmacy, does not carry nourishment for the human body. You're not going there to get nourishment for the human body. Any one of those institutions, you're going to get something that is going to is going to calcify. It's going to work against the decalcifying of the pineal process. That's a factamento. You see? And that's a whole nother lesson about these spirits that you're drinking. You see? Because we all know you become someone else. And we already know, it's as above, so below. It's certain chambers that you cannot go to, yada, yada, if you're not on that level. We know that. You know what I mean? So for some, to define that in an enlightened sense, you can get on the drink and be motivated to do something. You see? You can. And of course, that motivation comes with a price though, because your filtration system, your kidneys, liver, etc., does not benefit, you see, as it relates to nourishment from the liquor. So, of course, that when you have that, take that certain trip on that drink that you feel like, you see what I'm saying, is what creative or whatever, you just have to know that, you see what I'm saying, as it relates to A&P and biochemistry, that liquor does not nutritionally benefit the filtration system, the kidneys, the liver, the pancreas, etc. That's all we're saying, you see? So to add to that, you see what I'm saying? You as it relates to decalcifying, these are your enemies. You know what I mean? That liquor store and the pharmacy and that mainstream goddamn news media outlet. These are your, you see what I'm saying, your no-nos as it relates to decalcifying that pineal gland. It's a very a narrow way. See what I'm saying? A straight and narrow way, remember, to righteousness. Wide is the highway to destruction. See? Remember that? Wide. You see what I'm saying? You can do that. And that's we got to deal with that when it comes to this 3/5 of a frequency. Because you know what I'm saying? Everybody define, nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? We always want to get down, you know what I'm saying? Go to that. When, we know that nobody's perfect, but you was made in perfection. Huh? Your brain was made in perfection. The pineal, the pituitary, you see? The optic thalamus, you see? The Most High God, you see, was created in perfection. But whether you know how to operate it in perfection, see? That's another lesson. Because we always, again, nobody's perfect. You can't judge. And then you missing a lesson. You know what I mean? Judge not, lest ye be judged. That mean, I can judge you on the laws that govern the human body. That's what that means. I can judge you on divine law, universal law. That's what that means. So what are we saying here? It's a standard. You see? There is a standard. But you see what I'm saying? We've been programmed on this 3/5 of a frequency to where nobody's perfect. You see what I'm saying? Where there never is a really clear cut, you see what I'm saying, description on how to live. You see? Through these corporate institutions. You see what I'm saying? We always come out of there confused. You see? And that's important to key in on that fact. That it can't be, you see what I'm saying, but one way to operate a machine. And of course the machine was made to operate in perfection. You see? That phone, that camera, that automobile, that house, that toilet seat, etc. It was made in perfection to work perfectly. That's why when any one of them things go down, you see about getting them fixed. You got parts that you can go get. You see? Huh? Same scenario, family. As above, so below. That's just how this divine machinery that we got here called the human body work. Don't let nobody trick you into thinking, you see what I'm saying? You're not worthy. Get to talking about nobody's perfect. All that old type stuff like that right there. You see what I'm saying? You're human. It's part of your human anatomy or your human way of doing things to fail. But you get up. You don't stay there. We learn that young. You know what I'm saying? That little old bitty baby, that's what we do. I know that's what I've done with my children. You don't try to panic when they fall and all that. And so, because you know they might go to crying or whatever. That's going to throw them off their swagger. Throw their frequencies off. So you just try to encourage them, get on up, baby. Get up. You good. You all right. You all right. And they get right on up. You see? That's how you trying to goddamn go. You see what I'm saying? Get the machinery to operate in perfection. We you know, a lot of these words have this corporate connotation attached to it. So we'll run from them. Words like karma, words like perfect. You know, no, you see, because ain't nobody perfect. Then we'll say, well, I'm not perfect, but blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, but you, again, when you go into divine and universal law, natural law, you'll find that, yeah, you were made in perfection. You see? Upright. Upright meaning you can look up. That animal cannot. That animal got to bend they, you see what I'm saying? Got to do a different little old swag, little thing. And a lot of the animals that's, you know what I mean, knuckle draggers on all fours, a lot of them can't look directly up. You see? That's part of the upright scenario as it relates to the human being. And that's the, you know, one of the separations of the animal kingdom and the human kingdom. You're able to actually really look up to the hills, to where your help cometh from. You really able to do that. You see? And we gotta, you see what I'm saying, delve into really again on how this machinery works. And again, we talking about the third eye as we bring this on down to a close. And how important it is to know thyself. You see? And know who you are so you can move how you need to really move. And again, in order to even start the decalcifying process of the pineal, there's a lot of your burdens, you see, that you're going to have to lay down. And those burdens can be defined as the stuff that's in our way or in one's way to enlightenment, for enlightenment. You see, because enlightenment is where, that's the whole theme of this. You trying to get to that point of enlightenment. So you walking and talking and moving like a light worker. Because you remember that the third eye is metaphysically, you see, defined as lamp, L-A-M-P, or lamb, L-A-M-B. Because Aries is the head, and that third eye is the precious lamb of God. God being the pineal, you see, because the pineal is the most high God. Then you got the pituitary over there, mother. Father and mother came and made this divine child. You see? Symbolically, allegorically represented in the Bible as Jesus. And all the prophetic characters in the Holy Bible and any other holy script that you can think of. The Torah, Kabbalah, you see, the Quran, etc. And that third eye has the ability, as we can see, to be on or off. And it all ties back to the womb. My mother's womb, whether or not I'm able, you see, to walk this walk down here on the earth planet divinely or devilishly. Because as we can see, remember we said that's trickery when you talking about, you see, sell me your birthright, bro, and we twins. And that's trickery when you see what I'm saying? You got my mama in the county of, and you do not at one time at all sit her down in there, even during the, you know, how the mama, they got to go to their appointments. Even as it relates to their appointments, there's no county worker that comes in and says, okay, we're going to have a separate lesson, you see, on what we're about to do with your child. See, that's trickery. That's treason. When you tricked her into signing me over, because the signature makes it legal, family. That's what we got to know. See, not emotions. We're not dealing with emotions over here. We're dealing with truth over all of that. You see? Truth over any type of emotion. That's what we're dealing with. And the consent of the governed is within that signature right there in the county of. You see? The stripping of the third eye and the possibilities of that third eye. You see? We got to know that that's where we got to go and unravel the mess. And like Big Rude say, Big Rude, take back your existence or die like a punk. You see? Because again, it's coming from within you. The freedom, not without. This is your good brother, Sekond Sun. That's second with a K. S-U-N. This has been a Walk With Me live production. As you can see, we live on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like and comment. You can hit the comment section. Get these things, you see what I'm saying, out in the algorithm where we can really, you see, be an assistance in uplifting fallen humanity. Again, this is your good brother, Sekond Sun. That's second with a K, S-U-N. Because I am Carolyn's second son. And we out of here. Until the next time, peace.